Welcome everybody to the Rye-Town Park Commission meeting of Tuesday, July 16th, 2024. Please rise, and I'm going to ask our guest to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, County Executive George Latimer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll, please, Deb.
Yes, Commissioner Josh Cohn.
Here.
Commissioner Jason Klein. On video.
Here.
Commissioner Emily Hurd.
Here.
Acting Commissioner Randy Sellier, who is proxy for Lindsey Jackson.
Here.
President Zuckerman.
Here. Mayor Klein is appearing via Zoom. He has an excusable reason, i.e. emergency child services, which under the law is a permissible excuse to participate via Zoom. Public comment on, let's do the minutes. Adoption of the minutes of June 18th, 2024. If there are no objections, corrections, etc., may I have a motion and a second?
Make a motion.
All in favor? Aye. Mr. County Executive, would you like to say anything before we get on to the other part of our meeting? Sure.
Thank you very much, members of the Commission. For the record, I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive, a resident of the City of Rye. I stopped by to just advise the Commission that the county government begins during the summer our budget process for the year 2025. We operate on a calendar year, fiscal year, as does the town and the city. And with that thought in mind, we are now looking at capital project budget expenditures and considering what we would prioritize. And I wanted to give you that early on in the process. We have to submit to the Board of Legislators by mid-October a capital budget, which they then will review and finalize when they have the operating budget all together in December. But the submission of that in October can certainly be modified thereafter by Nancy Barr, Catherine Parker, and their colleagues, members of the board that represent the area that you do. But I thought it was helpful. We know that you've had a number of efforts in the past to try to improve the park, and you've looked to the county to be helpful in some ways. So hopefully, as we go through our deliberative process, we can tie it to what your requests might be, and we certainly can have your administrators and ours talk about that going forward. But that you know that it's there and that we'll try to work with you in any way possible is our intent.
Thank you. Do you want to say something? Other than thank you?
Welcome, George.
Mr. Mayor, nice to see you.
Thank you very much.
I just wanted to say that the county, and especially the county executive and our representatives, have been extremely helpful with Rye-Town Park and helping us to get funding for the many capital improvements that we have endeavored to complete over the last several years. And I was going to say later in the meeting, during the last budget process at the end of 23 for the 24 budget, our legislative representatives were successful in placing an ad in the capital budget for the interior of the bathhouse. And I'm pleased to advise that that before it got officially in the capital budget, it had to go through the county planning board. And last week, the county planning board approved that project to be in the capital budget. So we are very, very pleased, and we'll go forward with the next steps. And thank you, Mr. County Executive.
Thank you both, all of you, for your time and energy, and I wish you a good meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good night.
Good night. Public comment on non-agenda items.
There's nothing on the Facebook.
Thank you. Discussion regarding July 4th. We are all aware that there has been some controversy over the July 4th festivities, the fireworks accompanied by a special event that was pre-approved by this commission and conducted by the Barley Beach House. There were many residents and permit holders. I won't say many. There were a number of residents and permit holders who were upset that they were not permitted on the beach after 8 p.m. In fact, our rules, as posted on our website, states very clearly that the beach closes at 8 p.m. There is an exception for certain events, and the staff apparently was unaware of that exception and enforced the rule. So we have on our agenda this evening a resolution to make very clear what the rule is, especially as pertains to July 4th. I'm not going to say anything more at this point, but open it for comments for the other members of the commission. Josh, do you want to say anything?
I would just say that I think we should be responsive with respect to July 4th. I did see one comment from a Rye resident with respect to other evenings when there are fireworks, and I think that would be twice a week for the season that the beach is open. I've been unable to discover, though, any community experience being on the beach during fireworks on routine fireworks evenings. And so I don't feel that I can advance that, given the cost to the park that staffing would require each time we would open the beach. I would also note, in response to comments from that resident, that the reason we're so focused on this issue as a commission is that our staff has had actually a hard time in recent years controlling the conduct of people on the beach after hours, and particularly with respect to keeping people out of the water at a time when there's neither visibility nor a lifeguard. And so with that in mind, I will support the staff recommendation.
Thank you. Let me go to Jason. Do you have anything? Why is that green dot there?
Sorry?
Oh, the green dot is Russell Gold's calling in, and he's on his cell phone.
Okay. Jason?
No, I mean, I basically have the same comments that Mayor Cohn had, where, you know, I guess personally, I'm not 100% aware of what, you know, was going on the 4th. And so really, I have to defer to staff and their recommendations. You know, I'm curious what had been done in the past, certainly, but, you know, as was stated, the cost to the commission or to the town and the city, you know, I think we have to go with what's recommended. That's my only comment.
Thank you. Emily, anything?
Yeah, no, I agree, and I echo Mayor Cohen's sentiments that staff has reported, and it was a meeting conversation that we had that, back in 2022, that there was difficulty getting people off the beach, and that, it was, anyway, I understand the disappointment by residents. It would be great to be able to be out there on the beach at night, but I think for safety's sake and so that we're not employing security around the clock, I think it's important that we close the beach after hours.
Randy, anything?
I agree.
Succinct. We have a resolution.
When you go last and everyone else is being rational, it's easy.
Yeah.
I'm going to read the resolution that is proposed, that the resolve clause of the previous resolution is amended to read as follows. The Rye Town Park Commission hereby limits admission for Rye Town Beach to town and City of Rye residents and permit holders from 6 p.m. when lifeguards go off duty until 8 p.m. And here's the change. Except for July 4th celebrations, when the beach shall remain open for residents and permit holders until the conclusion of any fireworks display. Also, we've added, the beach may also remain open after 8 p.m. for special events approved in advance by the Rye Town Park Commission. Goes on, notwithstanding the foregoing, the Rye Town Park staff has the authority in its sole discretion to prohibit admission or clear the beach should conditions warrant such action. And obviously the reason for that clause is in case the beach is filled and there is a violent thunderstorm, it must be cleared. And also, people may not be aware, but the beach has an official limit as to the number of people allowed. And we ran into this, if you will recall, during COVID, when the beach was overcrowded and we had to limit admission and ask people to leave. So that gives the staff the authority in such hazardous situations to take action. May I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, Debbie, call the roll, please.
Yes, Commissioner Cohn,
Yes.
Commissioner Klein,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurd,
Yes.
Acting Commissioner Sellier,
Yes.
President Zuckerman.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. Our next item is a resolution to support grant applications to the Westchester Urban County Consortium Community Development Block Grant. This resolution, this is for CDBG funding, which is 50% of the cost of the projected improvements. And there are two projects that are proposed. One, our infamous bathhouse retaining wall, and the other is the construction of an accessible path in conformity with the Americans with Disabilities Act. I just want to go procedurally. This application is asking for the support of the Rye Town Park Commission, but because the Park Commission is not a member of the consortium, not being a municipality, the actual application will be submitted by the town of Rye. We will be scheduling, and this is per the law governing CDBG, we will be having a public hearing on the application at the town meeting, and then we will submit it. These two projects will also be the subject of an application to the state of New York Parks Department through the CFA funding process. And each of them is a 50% match. And under the law, we are entitled, should we get both grants, the amount of taxpayer-funded local match will hopefully be zero. So that's what we are attempting to do with these projects. Any questions?
comment if I may.
Comment, sure.
So, with respect to each of these resolutions, 5.1, 5.2, and 5.3, I think that both of us from City of Rye will vote in support of them. But it's important from our own municipal housekeeping perspective to make clear, as we've made clear in the past, that we are not binding the City of Rye to a vote to accept. We cannot bind the City of Rye to fund anything that can only come from the Rye City Council. And once again, Gary, we are going to welcome you to a City Council meeting. One of these projects, that is the accessible path, is new. That is, hasn't been presented to the council before, so we'll be looking forward to that. And nothing I've said prejudices in any way or indicates a negative outlook on any of this. It's just that I, as mayor, and Emily, as a commissioner, we don't have the checkbook.
I understand. And speaking, turning my hat around, as the supervisor of the town of Rye, and Randy is a council member, obviously, funds have to be approved by the town of Rye as well. So we're on the same plane, and I don't think we've ever had a situation. We've had some contentious discussions, I know.
Never.
But we have never had a situation where the grant funding by either the city or the town has been denied. And I look forward to coming before the city council next November or such to describe the projects and what the projected cost might be.
Sorry, I just have one question.
Sure.
About these, and I remember this was so confusing to me last time, but finally you were able to explain it and I understood. But so we are applying for like dual grants, CDBG, and
State parks.
right, state parks, and those offset the match amount.
Yeah, each is a 50% grant, and it may be offset because whether you call it county money, it actually, CDBG is federal money and state money, and you can offset, if you get a state grant, you can offset that with federal or other money. So that's what we're attempting to do, and we have been successful in the past with many of our projects. So that lessens, hopefully, if it all works out, and again, some of it depends on what the actual bids come in at. But if all works out, we'll have a zero taxpayer match. It may not end up that way, but that's what our goal is.
Yeah.
And let me just say this, as far as the retaining wall is concerned. Debbie, do you have the pictures of the retaining wall?
I sure do.
Next to your hand.
Excuse me. Oh, missed it.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. That is our retaining wall. That is in need of, shall we say, some reconstruction. You know, you could put it up on there.
Patrick, can you switch the screens back, please?
Technology.
Yes. Now the screen you changed, would you change it back, please? Sure. Thank you. It's a miracle. Thank you.
I don't see it. Yeah, put Jason over there when he comes on. There. Is that the only picture you got?
Oh, no, I've got more pictures.
Would you want Zoom switched over there so that it
Yes.
listens? Yeah, sure.
That's great. Thank you. While I scroll through. this is a picture that illustrates exactly why we have the handicap parking spaces fenced off. Because it's the precariousness of that wall make it unsafe to park underneath.
I think that should do it. These will all be part of the application.
Can you explain the accessible path, which is a new project?
Debbie, do you have the, that?
I just deleted it. The site plan, correct?
Yeah. There it is, Josh.
I see, so this would extend, this is the whole promenade?
Yeah, 5 feet.
And then oh, I see, so it goes,
From the north
Oh,
gate on
and
the
it-
right.
and it goes to the path.
It goes to
All
the,
way land.
Yeah,
yeah,
but on the other end, it skips the steps, right? It bypasses the steps.
it goes to the middle ramp. It ends at the middle ramp. It goes from the middle ramp.
Because here it's paved. Here it's paved, this is where the lifeguard booth is. So it'd be all of this, right? To there.
Yeah, the thing you pointed to, Emily, is the ticket booth.
Ticket booth, right.
Okay.
Did I
So
call
we
it something?
would not need a sidewalk wherever we have a paved surface, because that's already an accessible surface.
This comes about because several residents contacted us and said that they could not use their wheelchairs on the promenade. So that's how that's the actual genesis of this. And you can see how that might be the case.
And what would the surface be?
Concrete, most likely.
Or asphalt.
Either or, we'll get prices for both.
Is there anything permeable we can do?
That I don't know.
It's certainly possible. The sidewalk is going to be really rather, 5 feet. And part of the concept is that we also clearly have an erosion problem there, and so the concept is the sidewalk will not only provide an accessible pathway for people who have trouble ambulating up that bumpy surface, but it will help prevent the erosion that's been happening because of the water running off the hill.
So Debbie, this is like probably, 15 feet wide right now? So the sidewalk would only be a section of this?
I think the
5
second.
feet.
5 feet. I think
5
that
feet
area
long.
behind the bench represents, I think, where it is now.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
That's it. What we propose to do is replace that sidewalk with
This,
a proper surface.
right here.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
So what would happen to this?
Nothing at the moment until we have the money.
Okay, so that would just remain.
Yes,
Okay, and that is, of course, permeable.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not a finished design. The main thing is to get the application in. And one of the reasons that we also want to get it in is Debbie had a conversation with Millennium, and what did Millennium say about adding this project?
We've been applying for the retaining wall now for a couple of years. Well, we have 5 grant applications in right now all over the place. Their observation is that adding the additional recreational element of the sidewalk will strengthen our application with the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and historic preservation. So with the prospect of strengthening our application and getting offset funds, we thought that this was a worthwhile project to pursue, if we could get the funding.
Yeah, and the other thing is under the CDBG, the way it works, Debbie knows this better than I. If you notice, it says application 1 2024 project, application 2 2025 project, because what Westchester County does, Debbie, please correct me if I'm wrong, is that they ask you which projects, because it's like a 3-year plan for them. So you have to say, we want to do this in year 1 and the other thing in year 2. So this would be year 2, which would be for 2025, which means that it wouldn't really get done probably till 2026. So, and this helps because as you know, when we do plan our budgets, both the city and the town, we're not going to plan for money to spend money in a year that when the work is going to be done a year beyond that. But you need to, for CDBG, you need to tell them for the 3 years what your plans are so that they can plan their money, because they only have a limited amount. And they find out, I think, in March generally, or when the federal government passes its budget and tells them this is how much money you have. So, am I correct, Deb?
Yep, absolutely.
So that's what, and we put the $200,000 in there because that we were told by the county in the CDBG that that's the maximum that they want to give, because, as I say, they have limited funds and they have a number of communities that they spread it out. So they don't want to give one community, you know, $1 million, and then another community say, well, you only get 10,000. So they try to even it up. Am I correct in that too?
Yes.
Good. All right. That being said, for this application, I have a motion and a second.
So moved.
Yeah, second.
Debbie, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Cohn,
Yes.
Commissioner Klein,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurd,
Yes.
Acting Commissioner Selyer,
Yes.
President Zuckerman.
Yes, thank you. And since we already discussed the CFA funding, that's 5.3, I believe. Resolution 24-15, which is what we already discussed.
Motion.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Cohn,
Yes.
Commissioner Klein,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurd,
Yes.
Acting Commissioner Selyer,
Yes.
President Zuckerman.
Yes. And before I go on, Debbie mentioned 5 applications for the retaining wall. Number 1, we're still waiting for a determination from the National Park Service grant we put in last year for 50% of the estimated cost. We are now submitting to the New York State Office of Parks and to Westchester County. And by the way, Parks has 2 separate programs we're applying to. One is called Parks and the other one is Historic Preservation. We have also requested funding through Senator Mayor's office through the LOCAP program, with kind of money we've received in the past, which is currently funding our beach level bathrooms. And we have a congressional directed spending request also for the retaining wall, among other things. So as I've said before, if we get all of this money, don't ask me how we're going to spend it, but let's see if we get it first.
Is this a little like the producers?
I think it's a little bit. But, you know, the thing is, we don't know if we're going to get any of it, or all of it, or some of it. And, you know, we ran into with the state, one year we applied for $500,000 and they said, sure, but we're only giving you $300,000. So, you know, we try our best. Moving on, Resolution 5.4, the submission of a grant for the green parking lot. We've submitted this previously. There are two separate programs. This one is a Green Resiliency Grant Program, and the other one, which is a relatively new program. The other one is, I keep calling it, what is it, Green Infrastructure, something or other, GIGP. So that application is not open yet, but
Green innovation.
right. So that one we will apply for when it opens. So this again is it's basically the same plan that we've submitted previously to redo the parking lot.
Same disclaimer as with respect to
Understood.
the others.
Understood. Okay, a motion and a second, please.
Motion.
Second.
Call the roll, please, Deb.
Wait, oh, I just have one question. In the resolution, there's a third whereas clause that says that we commit to funding 10% or up to $286,000 of the matching funds. Is that just saying that that's what the match is, 10%?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a 10% match, which is a very good match. And again, in addition to this, we have been speaking to the Long Island Sound, Save the Sound people, and they're aware of this project, and if we get this grant, we can possibly get additional money through their efforts. So,
But I think to answer Emily's implicit question, we spoke to Millennium, grant advisors, about that language, and it's essentially standard language just to indicate knowledge of the match,
Got it.
but it does not commit the city of Rye to fund.
or technically the town of Rye.
There you go.
Remember, the town is responsible for the 60%. So, all right, we had a motion and a second? Did we,
Yes, I have a motion by Josh Cohn and a second by Randy Sellier.
please call the roll?
Commissioner Cohn,
Yes.
Commissioner Klein,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurd,
Yes.
Acting Commissioner Sellier,
Yes.
President Zuckerman.
Yes,
It does look nice, doesn't it?
Be very nice.
very
It's like
nice.
there's some shade in there. It's like 150 degrees. on
Yeah,
the parking lot
just
surface.
getting rid of the heat dome is a very worthy endeavor, and also trapping the stormwater runoff.
And look
from
at the
going to-
retaining wall. It looks so nice too.
Look, it's not falling down anymore.
I know, it's amazing.
Just one note, we had a lot of discussion, if you'll recall, last year regarding the TAP grant for the sidewalks.
Yes,
We did not get it.
okay.
We were officially advised. Debbie, did that memo go out? I don't recall.
It did, the copy of our rejection letter has not gone out to the Park Commission yet.
Please send it out.
I will.
And we've already requested a debrief on that to find out why we didn't get the grant. Was there something that they just didn't want to fund sidewalks, or was there something technically deficient with the application they would have liked to see? So we will know that. We have actually a debrief with environmental facilities for next Wednesday morning. So we're moving on that. Are there any questions? Anybody have any questions on Facebook?
Not a one.
Okay.
The financial position looks good from June. I mean, up $50,000 from over last year, and I was anticipating, or I will anticipate, that the end of July will look even better than this.
I couldn't say because we're not going to be selling permits much anymore, so it'll be daily. The daily should come in well.
Yeah. I mean, that happened last year too, though, right?
Yeah.
Permits fall
Yeah.
off in July.
Yeah.
But the weather has been so great, right?
If you remember,
Yes.
last year's weekends were horrendous.
Yeah.
Followed by several closures due to water runoff from the storms
Yeah.
closed us for several days, and the smoke from the fires in Canada. We lost 2 weeks due to that.
How was July 4th in terms of daily access sales?
I don't know if Russ is still with us. So I'm expecting a year-to-date report, but I didn't receive it yet.
And do you have an update on how's the tunnel bathroom going?
The tunnel bathroom is going well now. They had a problem with the ejector pump
Yeah.
because according to the contractor, actually according to Gary Gianfrancisco, they hit rock so hard that they had never seen rock like that before. So it took them several days to cut through the rock, but it has been installed. The plumbers are working. The electrician is on site. And actually, I had intended to call Lou Larissa today, and I just didn't have the chance to get an update as to when we might have a completion date. He said he would know once the plumbers got on site, so they would know exactly what's at. I'm guessing, it's just a guess, within 60 days.
Wow, and then open. Well, what are we, mid-July, mid-August, mid-September?
I'm hoping. I may have something later this week.
Can we do a ribbon cutting?
Pardon me? If you would like, we'll be happy to.
How we inaugurate new bathrooms.
I know, with a flush.
We'll invite Senator Mayer to do the first flush.
Yeah, right.
So I'm just projecting. I'm hoping that we get it done very quickly.
Great.
And then we move on to the main bathhouse.
Gary, may I make a motion to adjourn?
I was going to say, does anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Ah,
Aye. See you next month.
wow.